And welcome to episode 21 of the Techno Buffalo Show. I'm one of your two hosts for today, Sean Nani, editor-in-chief of the site, and I'm joined by executive editor of Mobile, Todd Hazelton.
Hey everybody.
Too bad it was a quiet week.
Yeah, quiet 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's been going on. I mean, shows up. We got nothing to talk about. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, there's nothing. I think I'm still jet lagged.
So, yes,
Forcing through it.
Tuesday was the Christmas day of the tech world, or the Super Bowl. We internally refer to it as the Super Bowl because it's a one and done event, as opposed to like CES, which goes on for an entire week.
Mm-hmm.
But the Apple Day is always an interesting experience, and some of the rumors proved to be true, some didn't. I'm thankful that it was not called the iPhone 6 Pro. I was not thrilled into that name.
Yeah.
iPhone 6 Plus is they had to find some way to delineate between the two. But yeah, so we finally know the iPhone 6. Well, actually, we've known the iPhone 6 for months. I mean, we've had a dummy unit in the Irvine office for how long?
Yeah, for a long time, probably since
Yeah,
May.
it looked exactly the same as the real phone. Now, before we go too much further, let's be upfront with everyone here. You and I were not at the Apple event.
No.
John was.
We covered that live stream that failed all the time.
Yeah. What's the TV truck schedule? But John is the only member of staff that has actually physically touched the two new iPhone 6s or seen the Apple Watch in person. Let's address that real quick. Why in the world did they not call it the iWatch?
I don't know. It seems like that would have been perfect. I mean, I saw some headlines that kind of were saying, like, this is Tim Cook's Apple now, and so it's not iWatch, it's like just they're taking even though it's the most personal gadget they've ever launched, according to Apple, they're taking the I out of it. And I think we saw some examples with that where, the messaging and sending the heart rate and stuff like that, it was weird, but it's not just about I think that was the message. I don't know.
Okay, Todd,
I studied poetry, so I could dig into it, I guess.
Will you ever, under any circumstance, send somebody your heart rate?
No. I mean, I don't even understand why that's an option.
I think my gut feeling is, it's supposed to be like, if you're a romantic couple, you want to express how much affection you feel for them. I don't know. I was sitting here during the live stream and they mentioned the send your heart rate. I was like, wait, what?
I know, it makes you wonder, do you think they did that, at first, you could send this to your doctor so they know, what's going on if they need to or something, and then, but then they couldn't get approval, maybe, from the FDA, and so they're like, oh, well, we'll still include the feature, but we'll make it a social feature,
I can just see it now. I send somebody my heart rate, and I get back, are you that much in love with me, or are you having a heart attack?
Yeah.
So
strange.
Yes, that's just one of many features they listed for the Apple Watch. But I was just like,
yeah.
I'm never going to send anybody my heart rate. That is never going to happen.
No.
I can't even see it sending it as a joke.
Well, now when I get one, I'm going to send you my heart rate as a joke.
Oh, thank you so much, Todd. I look forward to... Todd, there's no heart rate here. Are you sure you're not dead?
Just a flat line. Oh, man.
That's what it is. It's so you can monitor your loved ones.
Yeah. Make sure they're still alive.
They've still got a heartbeat. Don't need to see Grandma this weekend.
Oh, jeez. Oh, it looks fine.
She looks fine. We can see her next weekend.
Seems good time.
But, no, I mean... So, yeah, we all knew what the iPhone 6 was going to look like. I do find it really interesting that I began to question the 5.5-inch in the final run-up to the event because we really had not seen any leaks on it.
Yeah, we'd seen just sort of the bodies, but it wasn't as frequent as we saw for the iPhone 6. And then there were the rumors that like there was problems with the display or like that it wasn't going to launch on time. And so what's funny? And so I think I wasn't sure either, or the rumors that it was going to launch later this year, which would have been a bummer, right? Like, and I hope there's enough stock that we can all buy them, on time. But
This is what I was laughing about from Dominique Weber. Can you please activate some Chinese translation? I don't like streams without my Chinese translation.
Yeah. Apple's back
Dominique, I'll see what we could do about that. Oh, the Apple stream.
The Apple stream had a loud Chinese translation for those who didn't tune in for that.
Yeah. So, no, it does make you wonder, is there going to be a short supply on the 5.5? I don't know why I keep calling it the 5.5 when it has an actual name now.
The 6 Plus.
Yeah, the 6 Plus. But I don't know. I found it really interesting. I found it also really interesting that the Apple Watch had not leaked out in any way. We had not seen that design anywhere.
Yeah, and to be frank, I think if I did see it, I would have thought it was a fake because it doesn't look like an Apple product. Like, is it just me? It just doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially the gold one. I mean, I get it. They're going for premium design, and I don't even know what that thing's going to cost because you got to figure the price they gave, $349, is for the cheapest model, probably with a rubber strap, and with the smallest display. So, what's the larger display with a metal band or an 18-karat gold or whatever it is band going to cost? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. And everyone, even my mother talked to me later at the day, and she's like, "Oh, are you going to get an Apple Watch?" I was like, "I have no idea." And she goes, "Well, it's only $349." I was like, starting at $349.
Yeah, exactly.
And she, I didn't catch that. I was like, yeah, that's starting at $349. So we don't know how high this thing's going to go, and you got to figure that edition is not going to be cheap. As it is, I think $349 is too high.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, here it's not Sapphire, right? The 360, but I'll show. I mean, I got the 360 in yesterday, and this thing is sweet so far. Like, it's hard to tell that it's even a smartwatch.
No, it looks gorgeous.
I have my other watch in my room, but it's the one I usually wear on the show, and it's the one that my wife bought me, and it's a Luminox, and so it's got a metal and a big metal body too, and so this actually feels lighter, and I don't know, it's a nice watch.
The unfortunate thing is it's still running Android Wear.
Yeah, there's not a lot to do with Android Wear yet, but hey.
And that's any comments we make towards Android Wear, it's the fact that it still just feels too unfinished.
Yeah. But you know what's crazy? We were in Berlin last week. I was there for IFA, for those who weren't familiar, and several of the journalists were wearing Android Wear watches. Most had the Gear Live because they made a better decision than I did. But we were all wearing them, and it was super useful, I gotta say, as I was walking around getting the alerts, like calendar alerts and stuff like that. I actually really did enjoy it. For the first time, I was like, okay, this makes sense. But walking around my house, I don't know. But the motor it's cool.
Well, from Christopher Miles, he asked, do you think $349 is too much for a smartphone accessory? And that's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
Do we view not just the Apple Watch, but do we view smartwatches currently as just smartphone accessories?
I think so. I mean,
yeah.
The Gear S is sort of like its own standalone. But I think you have to, because it's like having a Bluetooth speaker, right? Like, you can't do anything with it unless you have something to give it life. And I think smartwatches, I mean, yeah, it'll tell the time, right? But then, I mean, you need a smartphone, so I think it's sort of the accessory. But people are talking about the Apple iWatch still and are curious, is that still an accessory? Because I think we have to see, like, sort of how the software works. I don't think we've seen a lot of that yet. And, like, can it stand alone better than Android Wear? Like, Android Wear can't stand alone really at all.
Right. Oh, the same with the Pebble.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I do think $349 is too high. I think that it's some of the same problem that we had with the Fire Phone in that it was too high.
Right.
And these companies are, I mean, I would, if the Fire Phone had come out at, say, $349 full price, I would have bought one and immediately regretted it after having now played
Right
it.
after.
Yeah, I did love Legier's
Leger last night, the Fire Phone sale or fire sale.
The Fire Phone sale. But I think the Apple Watch is going to have a pricing problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's, again, we're judging it on, honestly, folks, if you watch the stream, you know as much about the Apple Watch as we do.
Yeah.
They didn't let John play with one. They were just on the rotating hooks. So, yeah, we don't know anything more than you do. So I'm withholding judgment at this time on the Apple Watch until I actually get to touch one and see what it's like. That being said, it's going to have to be really impressive to justify that price.
Yep.
Really
It's
impressive.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's half the price of an iWatch. I mean, of a an iPhone 6.
I'm
never going to stop saying iWatch, by the way. Just like that.
Nobody is. Nobody is. I forgot to address this at the top of the show. Dan Legas asks, where's Joey? Joey this is the time of year where gaming becomes insanity. And
Destiny.
he's currently reviewing Destiny and NHL 15 and trying to Twitch every morning. So Joey is probably going to be incommunicado for a little bit because he also shared with me the other day the review list for the next 3 months. It's a monster. It is
nuts.
I think there's 23 games on the roster.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that will be split between him, Eric, and Ron. But still, it's just like, wow. Have fun, guys. So Joey's still around, but Joey is very deep into the beginning of the crazy fall review season.
Right.
From Dominique Weber, Todd, I know you just got this yesterday, but I'll go ahead and ask it. Hey, Todd, how much battery life do you get with the Moto 360?
Yeah, so I just got it yesterday, and it came with like 33% battery life, I think, okay? And I was setting it up and trying to figure out the charging. It wasn't charging right away for some reason. And it kept saying, like, battery, like, charge your device, and then it would shut off. So after all that, I got in the car to go to Fox Business yesterday, and it had a 50% charge. And by the time, and now I paired it in the car, it had to download a software update and all this stuff. By the time I got home, it was at like 6%, which is terrible, right? Like that's 46% in a mere 3 hours I was gone. But then yesterday I let it on for a full charge, and I took it off at about 7 o'clock last night. And then, I got my notifications, but not many, through the night. And now I'm at 51%, and it's 12 o'clock here. And I didn't charge it last night. I just left it on my bedstand. So it's not terrible.
That's not terrible. I can agree on the first day. I mean, you were pairing, you were downloading everything else. Yeah, I can see where battery would have drained faster. But
at first I was like, what the heck? But it charges really, really quickly.
Yeah, if you didn't charge last night and you're at 51%, that's not bad.
Yeah, from 7 p.m. on to now.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're 16 hours in. That's 17 hours in. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Really good question from Alan. All the questions are good, but this one really caught my eye here from Alan Hobson. Why call it the iPhone 6 Plus instead of the iPhone Air and the iPhone Mini?
It's a good question. I think Mini would be kind of confusing. Only because you're still going from a 4-inch display on the iPhone 5S to a 4.7, so it's still getting bigger, right? So I think that would be. But I like the iPhone Air name. I mean, I think that would have been really cool, especially because it's like just slightly smaller than the. I mean, not slightly, but smaller than the iPad or iPad Mini.
But no, I did think it was going to be iPhone Air. I really was leaning, because then we would have had continuity across the product lines.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
It would make sense. Maybe they'll change it at some point. I don't know, because it would make sense. You're right. I mean, if you go, it's the same as the iPad family, Air and Mini.
Well, we were joking yesterday in the company chat, or I was joking on IM. It wasn't in the company chat room. I was joking on IM with some of the guys, and what is next year's iteration going to be called? The iPhone 6 Plus Plus?
Yeah.
There's a bunch. John Rettinger's theory is it will be 6S Plus, but who knows?
That's getting lengthy.
Mm-hmm.
6S Plus. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but look at what Motorola did, right? Instead of Moto X Plus One, they just called it the Moto X again.
I know, which
I don't see Apple doing that, and that's kind of
I don't either. And I really hate that Motorola did that, just because there's going to be confusion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Every product should have a distinct name. That's just my belief. You should not reuse a name exactly.
Yeah, especially when a consumer's like looking for accessories or news or like how do you? Then you got to be like, oh, do I have the 2013 model or 2014 model, and a year down the road, what do you know?
That is an excellent point right there on the accessories, because last year's Moto X is smaller than this year's. Mm-hmm. So if a consumer's in a store and sees, oh, this case will work with a Moto X,
and then
they aren't going to know.
You're like buying a gift for somebody or something.
Yeah. And I fully believe that every phone should have a distinct name. It's just, and Moto X Plus One would have been fine, Moto X2, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But just don't call it Moto X. But it is what it is. So we really haven't delved into the phones. I think a lot of the surprise was removed by the fact that we had seen the dummy units for so long. We had seen the schematics and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, was there really anything that revolutionary?
Well, the mobile payments, which I see people talking about, it's not okay. I should step back. It's not revolutionary, right? Like, people are going to jump down my throat. Other people have been trying this for a long time. But I'm excited to see, and I hate to say it, but I'm excited to see Apple trying it, because I think it has the best chance at working. I mean, it didn't work for Google Wallet. Like, it's still not working, right? Like, it's in some stores, but nobody really knows about it or uses it. And now all of a sudden Apple doesn't. People are like, oh, they're you can use your phone for payments. It's like, well, yeah, you can do that for years. But if people don't know about it, people don't use it. And if Apple can teach people to know about it, I think this is good for everybody, right? Because then people will start using Google Wallet more, and then all these all the checkout points of checkout and all the retail stores are going to be all set to take these payments, whether you have an iPhone or you have Google Wallet, because it's just a point of sale, right? So we'll see.
Right.
Using NFC.
One thing they didn't mention, Todd, you know this about me. I am a complete loyalty points fanatic.
Yeah.
I want Apple Pay to also contain. Oh, they're coming for us.
Yeah.
I want them to also contain my rewards cards. That would be awesome. So let's say, all right, Walgreens has a rewards program. So let's say, and Walgreens is one of the partner stores. So let's say I go in, I tap my phone for the payment. Could it also transfer my loyalty program at the same time?
I bet.
That would be awesome.
Because you can do it with Google Wallet, has loyalty cards, and then you can make your payment. So you scan your card and you make your payment.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I think, and like you said, the whole problem has been is that people have not been educated on mobile payments. Every mobile payments platform has done a horrible job of educating Joe consumer.
Right.
Now, Apple comes along, and for better or worse, when Apple talks, people suddenly listen.
Mm-hmm.
So Apple's going to be out there promoting Apple Pay. I think the other thing Apple did that was really bright was they went out and they built these partnerships before the announcement. So there's not going to be this, oh, now we'll go talk to merchants and try to get them to adopt. Apple went ahead and got out there and went, we're launching this. Do you want to be in?
Right. But they're launching in October.
Yeah,
You have a little delay.
a little delay, but I'm not that surprised because it is going to take a while. I thought that was really interesting. You could use it at McDonald's drive-thrus.
Yeah, what's that about? It's just like, I guess they have one right there. They tap.
Yeah, they may have like one they can hold out the window you could tap to. That way it wouldn't be exposed to the elements all the time.
Right. Right.
But no, it's very.
How many iPhones are going to drop onto the concrete between the window and car?
Oh God, I didn't even think about that. That might be Apple's way to sell an extra million phones.
Yeah, right.
But no, it's interesting. But as for the phone itself, yeah, it's. I like the design, but it's the same design we've been seeing on the Mini and the Air.
Mm-hmm.
There is a point where I'm going to finally say, okay, the phones are getting too thin. You know, I have monster hands, as we've all seen. You know, remember, folks, this is a Galaxy Mega 6.3, and it looks like a normal person's phone in my hand.
Yeah. Right.
I swear I'm going to keep that thing around as a prop for the rest of my life.
5.
Yeah, exactly. So I do wonder if, you know, phones are getting too thin. But I mean, yes, it's a gorgeous design. Yes, it's going to have iOS 8, but the 5 and the 5S will have iOS 8 as well as the 4S and maybe the 4. I can't remember every phone that's getting it. But I don't know. That being said, yes, Todd and I are both getting 6s. Well, we're getting 6 pluses.
6 plus.
Yes, because we're wild men like that. Speaking of the 6 Plus, we do have a question here from Keegan Sutherland. Do you think the 6 Plus is too big for a person's jeans pocket? How big are your jeans?
I get these like comments all the time, and I wear probably skinnier jeans than I should. And I don't have.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Yeah,
it's just not a good look.
I know, but like, I haven't had a problem. So I don't know. It really depends on your jeans, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
mean,
wear
now,
Levi's, so you know, like I'm not a fashion forward kind of guy either.
I'm
Levi's
6'4", and I do not believe in wearing any pair of pants that is not cargo. So I always have a pocket that's big enough for something.
Yeah, cargo pants for sure.
Yeah, so we're the wrong people to ask. No, honestly, Keegan, I think it's going to be fine. You know, now if you put a case on it, it might start to get a little wonky depending on the thickness and height of the case. I always put my phones in cases. Well, not all of them, most of them. So it's just going to depend. You know, go into an Apple store, slip one in your pocket. They'll be fine with that.
They'll be fine.
That's what they should have, a
pocket tryout.
A pocket tryout station. All phone sellers should have a pocket tryout station. From Dan Lages. Dan, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your last name. Do you think Apple has ditched the iPhone 5C, you know, the C series? Yeah.
They're still selling it, right?
Aren't they? They're still selling it, but yeah. I don't think there's ever going to be another iteration.
No more unapologetically plastic phones?
Oh, as soon as they said Johnny Ive was doing that video for the Apple Watch, I was like, please, something be unapologetically. Please. That joke must live for the eons.
Yeah, but, because the 5C is free now, but I think it's been free. I mean, it's been like a penny for months.
Exactly. Yeah,
and the 5S is $99, which is a great deal, actually.
Yeah, the 5C is now the entry-level phone that you can get free on contract, but I do not think that there will be another iteration of it. And that being said, we do need to have just a moment of respect.
Oh, yeah. Silence for the
passing of the iPod Classic.
Farewell, old friend.
You were good to me. Gets me right here.
Gets me.
I still carry an iPod Classic, and I still have a backup iPod Classic. I don't care.
Yeah, Stephen Levy from Wired. He used to write for Wired, but he's a famous tech writer. Said you can take my iPod Classic when you pry it from my cold dead fingers.
I retweeted that.
Yeah, it's like,
Yep, I'm
that's
the
awesome.
same way. You know, the thing that never made sense to me about the iPod Classic and the lack of updates, it went over 1,800 days without an update. Why didn't they put a solid state drive in it and make it for those of us that have these giant music catalogs? They could have sold them cheaper. They could have,
Well, solid state drives back then were expensive.
They were back
Yeah.
then, yes, but they've come way down. So why
Right.
didn't they finally update it with a solid
Flash
state drive with 180 gigabytes or whatever?
Yeah.
You
Look,
know,
what's the largest iPod Touch these days?
I think 128. I
Okay.
think.
I mean, yeah, but I guess you just 64 actually.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, I like the hard drive size. I also like the durability of the Classic because when I used to go to the gym before I ended up quitting the gym so I could just buy my own equipment, I got really tired of driving into town every day. I like the fact that I didn't worry as much about the Classic because it didn't have the giant touch screen on it. So if I was going to wear it on my arm or something, I was always concerned it would bump into a machine or fall off while I was on the treadmill or whatever else. I just always felt like touchscreens were too much of a risk in the gym.
Fair enough.
So, that's why I stayed with the Classic for so long. It just, I had a spec case for it, which had spec cases seen better days at this point. But, I just always felt more comfortable with the safety issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll miss the Classic. I doubt that Apple will ever do anything without a touchscreen again. So sad days.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dominique. We were talking about the size of the touch. I have 160 gigabyte Classic, but yeah, that was the biggest it ever got was the 160. And that's what I carry, and that's what my spare is. Yes, folks, I have a spare Classic. I don't care what you say about me. I will live on with the Classic for decades.
Forever.
But, here's a non-Apple question. We'll move into something else for a minute. From Dan, again, I imagine I'm slaughtering your name, Lages. What do you think of the leaked Windows 9 images?
It looked good to me. I'm really excited for that start menu. And
what a silly thing to get excited for, but I'm right there with you.
No, and I was talking about this with other journalists last week too. I was like, okay, Windows was always about Windows, right? Like not about tiles. And when you open up these modern UI apps, they just take over the whole screen like they would on like a tablet, but this is a PC, like my desktop here right next to me. It's a Windows 8.1 PC, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, no, I want this in a windowed mode, because I like to have things all over the place. So they're bringing it. It looks like there's more controls in that, which is great, and then the start menu, which I really like too because I hate going into modern UI like that tile-based interface and trying to dig through looking for the app I want. It just doesn't make sense. Like with a mouse and a keyboard, it doesn't make any sense. And
no, I agree.
And that's what Windows 9, I guess, is supposed to be like, bringing back some of the features that people with mice and keyboards want. So,
well, this was the thing. This was the thing I always felt was wrong with Windows 8 from day one. Was they're like, oh, you'll have so much, such a better experience with touchscreens. Windows is the dominant operating system in business. Fine, not a problem. Were they expecting big corporations to go out and buy 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 touchscreen monitors?
I don't think so. And I don't even like it with the touchscreen, but I'm just that's just me.
I know. Okay, so I'm on an iMac here. I love my iMac, but I'm sorry, I don't ever see myself typing, I need to change that.
Yeah, it's just not how I interact with my computer.
No, it's not. It's how I interact with a tablet. That's fine. On my desktop here, it's a 27-inch iMac. I'm sorry, I have zero desire to ever reach up and touch this screen.
Yep.
And I think Windows has learned a valuable, or Microsoft has learned a valuable lesson here about the Windows product. People, while change is good, it takes a long time to embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
But
and
like, I think it should be an option. Like, it's not like it's hard to leave those. I mean, it's been in Windows forever. The mouse and keyboard controls. Like, why get rid of them? I don't. And why is it taking so long to bring them back? I don't know.
yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. From Alan Hobson, maybe I missed it, but do the new iPhones have a laminated sapphire display like we thought?
No.
Nope.
Yeah, no Sapphire there.
Nope. I think the sapphire is going to be all about the watch.
Yeah. At
Uh,
least,
I don't think that they can afford yet to do sapphire on that large of a screen for that many units.
yeah, and nor
So,
can I afford it. I think that's
yeah,
largely why the watch is probably expensive.
yeah, but
It does have the Sapphire, coating on the back camera and then on the Touch ID too,
yeah.
where it's
Yeah.
always.
From Dominique Weber, how on earth could Motorola choose a processor that was released in 2010 for the Moto 360? Pretty
I don't
easily.
know. Yeah, I think they had a lot of these processors probably sitting around, so they put them in it. But here's the thing: I'm wearing the 360 now. It performs just as well as the G Watch I have in the other room, and I have not seen anything that takes advantage of the Snapdragon 400 processor in the G Watch. So for me, show me why I need a better processor because
Yeah.
this is fine. It's a watch. And it's just taking in notifications. It's not like it's doing anything. And Snapdragon 400 seems like overkill, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I think that I want right now the current iteration of smartwatches is a very different beast than a smartphone, and they don't need that much horsepower yet. You know, and there will be a day where the Snapdragon 800's in there. It's probably 4 years down the road.
I don't know.
But
I just don't see the need. Like, why do you need that? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like what Bill Gates would say. Like, why would you ever need this much storage? And yet here we are.
Yeah, I know. The idea that I could have 1 terabyte of cloud storage just boggles my mind.
Yeah.
Interesting question from Teron Sorensen. So, what's the scoop on Windows 9? It seems to be canceled when it's supposed to be coming very soon and canceled again. What do you guys know? No,
So
it's
here's
coming.
here's the story. I think what might be confusing you is, I think there was talk of a bigger update to Windows 8.1, and then Microsoft decided to do monthly releases. Their latest was in August, actually. And then, meanwhile, they're also working towards apparently Windows 9 or whatever it's called, but they're going to release the Windows, I guess, technical preview, which should follow their September 30th event. I guess either like that day or early October, which will then be a preview of Windows 9 and what's coming in the next operating system sometime later next year. So it's not going to be Windows 9 just yet, but I think what you're maybe and on the other side, meanwhile, Windows 8.1 is still getting these monthly updates as they build up to the release of Windows 9. So I think maybe it was like a Windows 8.1 big update you were expecting, in which case, yeah, that's not how it's working anymore. They're just doing monthly releases.
From Christopher Miles, does this actually compete with Android Wear, meaning the Apple Watch? Does this actually compete with Android Wear since your choice is completely dependent on which phone you have?
That's a good question.
That is a very good question.
I think Android Wear Google should find a way to make it compatible with iOS because it's cheaper.
I mean, with the exception of the Pebble right now, whatever smartwatch you buy is pretty much dependent on one singular OS.
Yeah.
And I think that's really silly, especially on Apple's part, because the iPhone is the #1 best-selling phone model. It's not not the dominant of the market because of how many phones Samsung releases and so on. But Apple, Joey made an excellent point the other day. He was going to be watching the live stream, and he has both PC and Mac at home, but he wanted to watch it on his PC. He goes, so you're telling me that to watch an Apple presentation, which is all about introducing new products, I have to already be in Apple's ecosystem to learn about products that could possibly lure me into the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And I think that's
really bad.
And it's the same case with the Apple Watch. If it was Android compatible, that could be yet another entry point into the Apple ecosystem. Now, I understand the App Store and all that, fine. But, yeah, it does seem a little odd. And you're right, Christopher. It's hard to say that they compete with one another because right now Android wears Android and Apple Watch is iOS. So they're preaching to the choir in both situations.
Yeah, but it's good. Android Wear needs a huge competitor in the sense that there's something else going on, and that people might look at one or the other. Maybe Apple Watch users look at Android Wear and say, "Hey, how come mine can't do that?" And back and forth, and then that's where we get progression in products. So it's great. And Pebble, and Sony, and everybody else.
From Alan Hobson, will they update the Apple Watch every year, or will it take longer? I mean, they took 3 years plus 3 to 6 more months to release it the first time. Okay, that's the development process on any product. When they were working on the original iPhone, just as an example, we know they were also working on the iPhone 3G and the 3GS. They knew those were coming. So there was about a 3-year development cycle before the first iPhone came out. That's very, very typical with new products. So yes, it seems like it took a long time, but that's because people like Todd and myself were sitting here going, "There's an Apple Watch coming." But and there's also the question of how long ago in the process were we just writing off of people's fantasies compared to actual factual leaks. It's like the mythical Apple television set. We still do not know if that thing even is in development. We have no idea. We hear rumors about it all the time. So now, if an Apple TV someday, let's say in 2020, Apple finally decides to release a television, can we sit around and go, well, we've been writing about this thing for 15 years? Who knows? It's one of those things. I think everyone expected Apple to work on a watch, but we have no clue when they actually really started working on it. They may tell us someday, but it's Apple. They don't tell us anything they don't absolutely have to.
Right.
So, from a heck of a name, Thambuzami TD. I hope I got that right. What do you think about Apple Pay with the Apple Watch? Since it does not have to have fingerprint sensor, do you think it would compromise security? Now, interesting, it's still not the same as a fingerprint. It does have to have a skin contact, which we just found out. Of course, that's not the same as, so anyone's skin would work.
Yeah, it seems like anyone's. That's weird.
Yeah, that is a little odd. Does it compromise? It's a good question. I have a feeling there's something there we don't know about yet.
Yeah, that's what I think that comes down to. Like, I want to see how the Apple Watch and the iPhone 6 work together, and how the software is sort of hands off. I mean, it's hard to say like it's going to compromise security because sure, like if I find an iWatch, then I can run around and make payments. Like, but I don't see that. I mean, I don't see that sort of being that easy. There has to be something sort of in there. I mean, Apple hasn't really talked so much about it, aside from saying it'll work. So that's kind of where we're limited on speculation.
Yeah, exactly. From Dominique Weber, do you think Microsoft could afford to release Windows 9 for free? It would definitely improve the adoption rate on Windows.
I think it could. I mean, it can afford to, sure.
It can afford to, but Microsoft, and now true, they have a new CEO, the first time. Oh, okay. Sorry about that, folks. For some reason, when Time Machine kicks in to do its hourly check, it screws
I was like, what just happened?
It's Time Machine. Okay, so Microsoft does have a new CEO that's the first one outside of the original core group of like Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer and all that. He could change the game, but it's kind of inherent in Microsoft's DNA to charge for everything. I'm not saying that's good or that's bad, but that's just the way Microsoft is built. Yes, Microsoft could afford to do it. Will they? That's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah. Back to the other question, Jacob, one of our staff members, said he thinks whenever you take the iWatch, or the Apple Watch, I'm still calling it iWatch, whenever you take it off, it needs a passcode to turn back on. So there you go. That could be another software feature.
Okay. Yeah, that could be. So yeah, Dominique, I don't know. I don't think Microsoft would ever not charge for an operating system. I just don't think that's in their corporate DNA. From Christopher Miles, were you disappointed by the Apple Watch design? No, I kind of liked it.
Yeah, that was all right.
Yeah, until I play with one in person, it's hard to say. I mean, it did look a little chunky, but when you're looking at it on a computer screen, you don't know 100% for sure.
Right. I have some breaking news for people while we're on the podcast.
Okay.
T-Mobile just announced its pricing for the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. So here you go. iPhone 6 at 16 gigs is $0 down with a monthly payment of $27. iPhone 6 with 64 is $100 down. With 128, it's $200 down. All with $27.08 a month. And then the iPhone 6 Plus, 16, 64, 128, $0, $99, and $199, all up front, and then all with monthly payments of $31.24 or $31.25 for 24 months. So there you have it.
Woo!
In case we have T-Mobile customers here, they just crossed the wire.
From someone that I'm not even going to try, because it's all sorts of long for a name. But what is the best cheap smartwatch? Pebble.
Yeah.
Yeah, hands down, Pebble. From Dan Lages, would the Apple Watch look better if it were round? We ran a post earlier. Yeah, we ran a post earlier with an artist's conception of it, and it almost seems like it was supposed to be round.
Yeah, I thought it looked better.
Yeah,
I haven't worn a square watch. I mean, I have the G watch, but I mean like a square watch in a long time, like by my own choice. So I don't know. I'm more of a round watch guy.
From Taryn Sorensen, do you get anything extra for your $100 when you get an iPhone 6 Plus besides a bigger screen? Yes, you get optic image stabilization on the camera as opposed to digital image stabilization, which actually is a very big deal because that means that the camera floats within the module. So it's actually a far better image stabilization system.
But apparently it's not great for moving objects. I was reading a story on The Verge today about it. Which was really interesting, about how capturing moving objects like a dog running around actually is not good with OIS. So have that.
Yeah, but yeah, there is a slight bit of technology difference between the two devices besides just the larger screen. From Alan Hobson, your thoughts on the protruding camera on the iPhones? Seems without a case it will be wobbly on a table or something. We actually wondered about that on Apple Day. We just call it Apple Day now. It's like a national holiday. Yeah, I mean, it's not that large of a protrusion, but Joey actually was the first one to ask that during the live stream. He goes, if I lay it on a table to type, is it going to wobble? And I guess we'll all find out next Friday. Yeah, when we all get
I've never laid my phone on a table to type, but I could see like how that could be annoying. Like if you just put it down, just rocking around.
Yeah. Let's see. We got a bunch of questions. Let me burn through a bunch of them real quick, and we'll end the show here. From Christopher Miles, is it just me, or does Android Wear seem like the more streamlined interface? Honestly,
Android Wear doesn't feel streamlined to me. It feels like a freaking mess.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with Todd here. And that's not any sort of fanboyism. Todd and I both own Android Wear watches, and I forgot my Pebble on the kitchen table today. But I have not worn my G Watch in weeks. I hate the thing. I absolutely hate that
Even though,
watch.
like, the Moto 360 looks better and stuff, but navigating it just drives me nuts.
Yeah, no,
I'm just like, and I know how it works. I know that you swipe up and swipe left and right to get deeper into notifications. I get it all. I just hate it. The way it
yeah.
operates just doesn't make sense.
No, Android Wear is not remotely streamlined, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and
It
like if you
looks
want
pretty.
yeah, looks cool. I mean, if you want to do something too, like I'm swiping through to try to like check my heart rate. It's very like you have the best way to do anything is to use your voice, and then that relies on it actually picking up what you said and you knowing the right command, and that's kind of just really frustrating.
Yeah. From Isaac Abraham, I would wager if any other company besides Apple created the design of the Apple Watch, it would be laughed off as a fail. What do you guys think?
Mm,
Mm,
I mean,
not necessarily.
I think for watches, the smartwatches right now, it comes back to what we were just talking about. It's going to be really focused on the software, and I think Apple showed decent-looking software, and I think they showed such premium-looking models that I don't think anybody would have laughed it off. I mean, when you look at the first Android Wear watches, they're plastic, right? So if Apple had a pure plastic device and that was it, then maybe people would be like, "What the heck?" I mean, because now you have the Moto 360 and you have the G Watch R that are metal, and so I mean, the polished look of the Apple Watch, I don't think would have been laughed at if anybody launched it.
No, I mean, I love the design of the 360. I think it's a gorgeous looking watch. And it's just unfortunate it runs Android Wear.
Yeah. Exactly.
Can you tell we really did not like Android Wear?
But we're gonna give it. I mean, I'm still wearing it, giving it time, which is still.
And everyone asked me why I didn't sell my G Watch because I know there will be updates to Android Wear that could potentially make it a far better experience.
Yeah, I'm sure.
In its current iteration, I don't care for it. The second a major update comes for Android Wear, I will download it the second it's out, put it on that G Watch, and give it a whole nother shot. Right now, this is not about the watch; it is about the software.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, here's a Nokia question. Will Microsoft Nokia release a 1530 or 1030 after the lackluster IFA announcements?
Yeah, I can see why you think the announcements at IFA were lackluster, but I actually really like the 830 and its price point, 300 something bucks. It's actually a really nice phone, but I get it. It's not, it's not a flagship. I think we will see updates to these phones. Particularly, I'd like to see something with the 1020s update to, whether it's a 1030 or whatever. And I hope so. But, recent rumors are suggesting that we're going to move toward Microsoft branded, so it'll be like Microsoft Lumia, which makes sense because Nokia wasn't talked about very much at IFA as a brand, although they had, they had like the charging plate and stuff, which is obviously a Nokia product. 1530, another interesting question. I don't know. The 1530 for me was like really big. I'm curious on how well it's selling as opposed to say something like the 930, which to me seems to do better with the whole Windows. But that's just me.
Yeah. Okay, just one more question, and then we'll get up here. From Soya Raj, is iPhone 6 Plus an iPad Mini? Yes.
Yeah, kind
of. Well, folks, we thank you for joining us on the 21st episode of the Techno Buffalo Show. As always, we do appreciate it if you head over to iTunes, and if you can find the Techno Buffalo Show, do give us a rating and a review. That does help the show. You can also find us on Stitcher. You can find us on Pocket Casts. You can subscribe via RSS. Basically, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find the Techno Buffalo Show. Until next time, I'm Sean Awney. I'm the editor-in-chief of Techno Buffalo. I've been joined by executive editor of Mobile, Todd Hazelton.
Bye, everybody.
And we'll see you all back here next week. Till then, take it easy. Bye-bye.